Oh man. Hey, yeah. I don't know what it was. I must have hit the wrong key, and it seemed like it come down. Let me know if you guys can hear me now. You guys should be able to hear me now. I had my mic muted on the live stream. Right now, everything does look pretty good within the market, though, guys. I do see that we're more than likely going to see this kind of inverted head and shoulders. This is what we're seeing right here on the hourly. We're also seeing a similarity on the 4 hour as well. You guys can kind of see it here. This is kind of what I'm expecting, closer back to that 205. Yeah, I must hit the wrong key earlier. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. It's just entertainment purposes only. Make sure you do your due diligence. If you guys haven't, make sure you guys hit that like button. It really does help out the stream. Subscribe to the channel. I have been trying to do streams almost every day. I try to do it at least once a week now, if not a little sooner, depending on market conditions. A lot of the market conditions right now are going to be based off of the holidays. So you got to think with the holidays, with what we're seeing within the typical market right now, I expect that we're going to see some volatility coming near Christmas and New Year's. I think that's going to be a good scenario for us here on the short term. Because if you kind of really take a look at, even what we're seeing here, you can see we hit around that 220 previously right before we started to come down. We've been at neutral level moving averages. As long as we don't break this trend line here, go back down, we should be bullish just for the short term on the 1 hour and the 4 hour time frames. We are kind of seeing a position like this, guys. So it could be drawn out. We could see a breakout here soon, just kind of pushing back up closer to the next resistance, 208, 220s. We also got stocks. Stocks are doing pretty good. So at market open today, we had a little bit of movement. You see some stocks are green, some stocks are red. It's kind of a little bit of a mix, but we also got to think that, with the holidays, you got a lot of people doing what's called tax harvesting. That tax harvesting is going to be something huge. That is probably the biggest downfall here on the short term for it. Litecoin is also seeing a very similar pattern, the same as XRP on the 4 hour. It's seeing that inverted head and shoulders. You can kind of draw it out like here. You guys can kind of see it. Inverted head and shoulders is bullish once it is complete. It will usually push it back up to at least two resistance levels. And those two resistance levels, as long as we don't see that it basically cools off right around this level here, right around that 81. Yeah, 81.32 on Litecoin. If we break out of that, more than likely we'll retest at 87.55. That would be something that would be super beneficial for us here on the short term. You also got Dogecoin. You see it on Dogecoin. But we are super close to figuring out what exactly is going to happen next. We don't have much bullish catalyst. We got more negative catalysts, I'd say, here at the end of the year due to tax harvesting. You're going to have people buying in, but you're also going to have people selling out big time as people's trying to offset their taxes for the beginning of the year. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down below in the comment section as well. Today, our liquidation levels aren't too bad. I mean, we had over six figures in traders liquidated, which was roughly right around that $102,000, 102,000 trader range. Roughly right around 204 million in 24 hours. That's not too bad, as 140 million of it was shorts, with 65 million being worth of longs. The crypto fear and greed index also indicating fear still, which is pretty much expected. We also have lower amount of trading volume overall in the overall crypto market, roughly sitting around that $200 million in trading volume in a 24-hour period. We also have open interest right around 131 billion, which is pretty big. Also, the 24-hour liquidations are just roughly around that 204 mil. And the 24-hour long and short range is still roughly around that 50-50, so there's not too big of a gap. as you got people betting shorts, you got people betting longs, roughly around a 50% on both sides, which is something that's usually pretty good to see. Usually, if there's a big differential within the two, that is usually pretty bearish. But yeah, as you can see right now, XRP is trading roughly right around that $1.93. You also got Litecoin 78, Bitcoin right below that 90,000. Everything right now is going to be very short term. So don't expect too big of moves, guys. If you expect too big of moves, you're definitely going to get like a negative incentive on the market, because with inverted head and shoulders, it's going to either play out very quick or it's going to be very slow. But it's going to happen probably before the end of the year. It's going to be a pretty big move when it happens. I say roughly right around 3 to 10% gains on some of these cryptos. But once we get to that level of the neckline, you'll more than likely indicate what's next. So that's when you'll see a lot of people probably entering shorts and long positions. Also, one of the things to kind of look out for here is $4 trillion JP Morgan is considering offering crypto trading for institutional clients, which is huge. This is pretty big, as if they do enter the crypto market, that might be something that is good for the institutions. Similar kind of to the ETFs, along with 401ks and traditional IRAs. There are some people that already offer that, but we're not really fully seeing the big picture yet on those with how much volume they are bringing in. There's also another thing I wanted to bring up with $12 trillion BlackRock says Bitcoin is one of the biggest investments this year, which it is. I mean, it had probably the most substantial gains with the gain of market cap as well. So that's something that to take in consideration. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me down below. If you guys are just now tuning in, please hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. Right now, the market has been pretty boring. We're not really seeing a lot of volume today. We didn't see a lot of volume over the weekend as well. You're also seeing a lot of traders still being liquidated, but the amount of capital that they're putting in is less and less each month and each week. Yeah, everything right now is very short term. We're still seeing a massive sell there here on the short term. That's something that I do expect we're going to continue to see for quite a while. Hopefully, we don't go into crypto winter like everybody is saying that we're more than likely going to be doing. Right now, we're looking at a inverted head and shoulders pattern, blue heel. That inverted head and shoulders pattern is actually looking pretty good. It's the opposite of the head and shoulders. The head and shoulders is usually bearish. The inverted head and shoulders is bullish. We do have some negative things that might come behind it after we see the head and shoulders kind of play out. So if you kind of look at it here, right around here, this would be the big neckline that we need to break, is that $2 range. Well, it's roughly right around that $1.99, because that's where we struggled. The inverted head and shoulders is kind of like a pattern like this. You kind of come up, you kind of make the head on the way back down, make a shoulder, and then that's kind of where you see the breakout period, which is what we're seeing here with the breakout of the trend. If we can stay above this neutral level, along with staying above this trend line here, we should be on the goal to around that 208 to that 220 range, depending on how exactly much volume is going to move within the crypto market. Tax harvesting and all that could play an effect with it. But with the inverted head and shoulders, we are getting closer to that neckline, where it's going to end up making a decision on what it's going to do, if it's going to go back down closer and consolidate where this neutral level moving average would be, or if we're going to see that breakout potential of that neckline pushing back closer to that 208 to that 220 range. If we push back closer to that 220, that is going to push us back up quite a bit. Back in previous levels we haven't seen in quite a while. But like you guys can see here, you can see a bigger inverted head and shoulders wanting to play out. But with the holidays, you got to think the lower amount of volume, tax harvesting. So pretty much anything can happen after we get to that neckline. You'll also take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up roughly around 1% today. Pretty similar pattern. A lot of volatility on Bitcoin, definitely whenever markets open and close. There's been a lot of talk about gold and silver, as gold and silver is currently up 2% today. Gold has been reaching new all-time highs pretty much all day today and last night. Silver is also been exponentially moving up quite a bit. So that's big fear within the market, which people are hedging against the stock market and the crypto market currently. S&P 500 has been moving up. Tesla hit a new all-time high today for the people that's interested in stocks. Robinhood is currently just down 1%. Coinbase stock is roughly up 2%, as the crypto market is roughly up around 2% today. No problem. Anytime, Blue Hill. Yeah, right now we are just very in a consolidation period, not really moving much due to the low amount of volume. We didn't see much at market open today. We didn't see much over the weekend, which, you know, going towards Christmas, we usually see like what they call a Christmas rally and a New Year's rally. And then start at quarter one, we'll probably start dumping us a little bit like we've seen in the previous trends before, like we've seen in the past. APW, with a lot of the institutions and stuff like that going behind the scenes, along with XRP bringing in more supply each month. We're going to continue to see that for quite a while, definitely on XRP. Coming on Bitcoin and Ethereum, you'll see a lot of the supply not really be diminished until we start to see more buyers than they are sellers. Right now, institutions are buying up, but it's a lot of the same people over and over. But you have a lot of ETFs that's currently also in the red as well. Let me pull up the data for the ETFs, because we've been pretty negative on the ETFs net inflow for quite a while now. Yeah, roughly around 234 million yesterday was down in ETFs that was pulled out. It was also the other day roughly around the same. We had one bullish day on the 16th. Then the rest were pretty big numbers as well in the ETFs. So if you take a look at like the institutions, they're all over the place right now, definitely with the crypto market. We're still in Bitcoin season. Fear and Greed Index is 29 out of 100. We're above that $3 trillion market cap again. We're at 3.03 trillion right now. Bitcoin dominance 59.1%. Same with Ethereum being roughly around that 12.1. Gas fees are pretty low right now, so it's not too bad. With the futures of the open interest, we're looking at roughly 3.46 bill on the futures. Pro Tools right around that 792.15 billion, currently up around 8% on the daily. But yeah, you can tell right now the market is kind of holding up pretty well. Everybody's kind of waiting to see if Bitcoin is really going to move. Same with Solana. Coinbase had brought a lot of new things coming to the crypto market, which could also cause a little bit of saturation. Sometimes you'll see saturation when it comes that way as well, whenever they bring like stocks to the platform, like a brokerage. Definitely with it being mainly the biggest one for the United States. A lot of people first go to Coinbase to start off. They're putting a lot of stocks on there now, credit cards. They have a lot of big things on Coinbase changing, which are kind of going to deviate away from cryptos a little bit as well. They're trying to get in each market, even the prediction market, which is causing a little bit of saturation, along with the Solana meme coins. That you can now get Solana meme coins on Coinbase now too, which is huge. Which is good for like meme coins, but at the same time, it's kind of allowing anybody to invest in whichever market they want very quickly. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. It's just entertainment purposes only. Here on the hourly, though, looks a little rough still. $1.93. You also got Trump coin. Taking a look at Trump coin, you can still tell that it's still pretty much on the downtrend. Roughly down around 50% since November 10th. It's coming down very quickly. Same with XRP. XRP around that same time in October has been pretty bearish ever since. Kind of deviated against that, coming closer back to that $2 range. I would love to see us get back up closer above that 210 to that 220 range. Would be super nice. Yeah, this one's going to be like kind of volume based as well. I look at this one every now and then. I mean, it's really been struggling ever since roughly the start of the year this year. We had its high right around that $10 range, and it's pulled back roughly around like 80% since the high, I think. Yeah. 372 days, currently down 83%. It's not really been bullish ever since like the middle of the year. And you can kind of see it's very much up and down. It's going to be a volume-based coin. You can see the triple bottom there on the daily, kind of filling that same gap, breaking back out. It's been on the downtrend for quite a while, but it's one of those that if it pops off, it usually pops off pretty nice. This is something that I think you need to trade kind of like on the shorter time frames to get in and out of positions for a small amount of gains, but still roughly get bigger amount of gains on it. Yeah, but you can tell even H bar is same way. H bar is struggling. You got Ethereum. Ethereum's also moved up ever since the double bottom here, kind of consolidated roughly almost a whole day. Finally starting to kind of move up a little bit. I do expect that we're going to probably try to push back closer to that 3,200 range here on Ethereum, definitely before the holidays, if not during the holidays. Bitcoin could push back to that 94,000. And I think that would give us a good push on a lot of altcoins to kind of move up here on the short term, kind of liquidate some of those shorts. With that inverted head and shoulders pattern, that is usually something that we do see. Usually you'll see a lot of volume come in very quickly. You'll see a lot of liquidations of the other side. Definitely for the people that don't do technical analysis. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel. It also helps the algorithm push it out to more and more people. Let's take a look at Algo. Algo's been up pretty good today, roughly around that 1%. Gold and silver, 2%. H-bar is up 3%. Cardano's another one. Cardano's been on the struggle bus ever since hitting that $1 range on July 2025. It's a pretty nice little gain, though. Pretty nice little gain on it, though. It's roughly down roughly around 60% ever since he hit the dollar high earlier. Pepe's another one. If you trade meme coins, Pepe's been up and down. It's going to be a volume-based coin. You got to catch when the meme coin market starts to pop off to get into some of these memes. Dogecoin as well. You got a lot of Dogecoin holders, the first-time people who got into crypto when they first got into Dogecoin right before it popped off. A lot of people's at losses on it because of that Saturday Night Live. There's not really much movement coming on Dogecoin. You can see here we made pretty good money on it back in the bull run from September to December. And ever since then, we've been kind of bearish on it. Profiting on it every now and then. We sold it roughly the other day, a few weeks ago, for about 40% profit. And ever since, it's been on the downtrend. Whenever we see that kind of downtrend of the trend line break, along with the moving averages, along with the MACD squeeze, more than likely we're going to sell out of that position here on the short term because it's indicating a possibility of a cross. That's when the cross of the 200 and the 50 moving averages, and that usually kind of puts us into the bear market. Yeah, right now it's just the volatility is so high. You got XRP not really moving. Not a lot of people really interested. more people are struggling than they are picking up some of these positions right now. That's kind of unfortunate. Also, Jasmy, if you guys trade Jasmy coin any, that is going to be one of them that has really popped off within the last 24 hours. It's currently up roughly right around that 20, around that 6%, but you can tell it's been climbing. It's kind of like a volume-based coin too. When it pops off, it pops off. But when it goes down, it goes down. 15-minute, a lot of ups and downs. Stair climbing is like what I like to call it. Stair climbing up some, also going down there a little bit on the short term. Shiba Inu has been really struggling a lot on X. I mean, you can tell it's been on the downtrend for quite a while. I mean, it pumps when it pumps, but it dumps when it dumps. It's something that you got to really chase the volume on it. Even back when the meme coins kind of popped off, Shiba Inu kind of pops off, but it doesn't really give the gains like it used to. I remember we made, like I think it was almost 100% just within about 3 months on it, but then we sold it. I took basically a loss right here because a lot of the things was happening on X and it was starting to gain negative momentum. That negative momentum made Shiba kind of pull back out some. I was really hoping Shiba Inu would kind of give another pop off again, but I mean, it's been really struggling ever since all the drama that happened with it on X. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. It also helps the community grow. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below, as well as we're starting to see this inverted head and shoulders kind of play out. It's going to be very slow though, guys, so don't expect too big of moves very soon. Also understand that they are necklines, and those necklines could be an indication of what could be happening next. Yeah, I was really hoping Shiba Inu would pop back off, though. It would have been pretty nice if it would have. Yeah, Kyle, that was probably going to be roughly a few months back. There was just some drama with it. There was a lot of like negative momentum come behind it as well with the Satoshi thing, the change of the some of what they would call the executives. But that's been so long ago. But that kind of ruined a lot of the aspect with Shiba Inu. That's why it really started to drop a lot quicker than Dogecoin and Shiba. No, I mean Dogecoin and Pepe. They're holding up a lot better than Shiba Inu though in the long run. Shiba Inu really just, I don't know. I think really X kind of ruined it there at the end. It really started to kind of have massive sell offs whenever it was started happening, and it's been gaining and losing holders pretty much substantially ever since then. It's getting just more traders who's trading the coin for a quick flip other than holders now. So it's got more holders in it than traders, but right now you got traders kind of moving the market a lot more on Shiba Inu. But you can tell, Shiba Inu's not really moving that much. It's been pretty bearish. I think it's like 80% down from the high, if not 90% now. See, this high was in December, and let's see where it's at right now. Yeah, roughly around 80% in around 380 days. Pretty big drop. And I think the penny dream, I think a lot of people realized that penny dream wasn't going to happen due to like it having a big 5.4 trillion market cap. There's just a lot of negative things that came behind Shiba Inu that I wish never would have happened. It would have been a pretty good meme coin and held up with Doge and Pepe for the long term. Would have gave better investment for a lot of the holders instead of traders. Told you about XRP a few months ago. Threw 200 bucks at it just to see where it goes. Realistically, expect it to get. I mean, I wouldn't expect too big of a move on XRP. I mean, it's the number three market cap, and it's pretty big crypto. Even when it was worth roughly around $3.65, it had substantial enough amount of volume to really kind of keep climbing. But you also got to understand there's a lot of supply that gets put in every single month on XRP, which is kind of the negative downfall with the company Ripple selling it kind of OTC and selling it to institutions before selling it to us at a better price for them. Whenever that gets done, that'll probably give it a better aspect for it. But for right now, a lot of people has been seeing XRP kind of coming back down. I do agree that it's going to more than likely come down to $1.50 to that dollar range again, roughly within the next year, just due to how the previous trends of the crypto market seen back in 2017, 2021, and now it's going to be 2025 going into 2026. Right now, we're what's called crypto winter. We're also seeing the 200 moving average cross with the 50 moving average. That indicates the start of the bear market. With XRP, though, the financial institutions, all that stuff, if it really happens, there's no way you can really predict how much volume or volatility you're going to get out of that because you got a lot of people holding, and a lot of people say get to 100 to 1,000, but whenever you do the kind of the market cap, you'd be indicating that it's worth more than gold, and more than likely that's probably not going to happen unless it reaches a substantial financial gain like everybody wants it to. But realistically, I wouldn't be looking at XRP going past the $10 range. But now it's something, with the financial institutions picking up XRP and kind of using it the way that everybody expects it to, then yeah, it could go higher. But that is more of a gamble than using, analysis or using previous trends and expectations. As you know, everything is trying to now go digital, so you never know. Ripple, who owns XRP, they have RLUSD now, which is a stable coin. And I mean, XRP for fees is pretty low. So even if they use RLUSD, it wouldn't cause XRP to go up substantially because you wouldn't have to hold more than $1,000 to move trillions of dollars of transactions. Like Trump Coin has another similarity to XRP with the supply. It brings in supply every like 3 months instead of a month, and it causes the price to substantially fall due to supply and demand. I am bullish long term on XRP. I do think it has a lot of room to grow. Same with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Cardano, Litecoin, all of them will be pretty good as well. They always say Litecoin is like the silver and Bitcoin is the gold. So I always think that Litecoin is going to be the underdog when it comes to cryptocurrencies. As at one point it was in the top five cryptos back in the early 2010s. You also got Crow Coin. Crow Coin is another indication of that as well. You guys can see it pull back drastically very quickly, around 76% loss in 115 days. Same with XRP. Whenever we had that big liquidation event in October, that liquidated tons of traders. And we're seeing more of that right now as well, as we have over 102,000 traders got liquidated just within a 24-hour period. Roughly still right around that $200 million range liquidated just within 24 hours. We had the highest liquidation event in October, and that was roughly around 20 billion with millions of traders liquidated very quickly. That was a lot of ups and downs. That happened super quick. There was a lot of manipulation that probably came behind that. But that was on October 10th. And the event was a U.S. tariff hike on China. We ain't seen one like that in a long time. I know we also had another liquidation event in September of this year as well. 3.6 billion for over leveraged longs. That was way too much leverage. Way too much leverage. But until this inverted head and shoulders play out, we're more than likely not going to see this on the short term move. I say near the holidays we'll see it move a lot better. Right here it's going to be the inverted head and shoulders. So you have the shoulder, then you have the head, then you have the shoulder. That is kind of like a bullish thing. You can kind of see how it plays out right here roughly. And I expect that it's going to break above this neckline around that $2, trying to push closer back that 208 to that 220 range. That is if you follow technical analysis. It does look a little bit better on the 4-hour. Each candle is a 4-hour chart, so it indicates that it could take a few hours, if not days. You can see just from here is we're looking at just roughly 9 days, 16 hours in candles. And that's been ever since the inverted head and shoulders have really started. You can kind of see how it plays out a lot better here if it follows the same pattern. This 208 will be a huge resistance. Breaking that would retest around that 220. That would also liquidate a lot of the shorts within the market as well, along with the exchanges. A lot of these exchanges like Binance, you got Crypto.com, Coinbase, a lot of them right now are starting to get more into the leverage game. So it does make it have a lot more volatility, and it also is higher fees here on the short term until the end of the Q4 of this year. Alrighty, guys. None of this is financial advice. I hope you guys learned something from it. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to join the Discord down below or just ask in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer it. I will be going live again almost every single day, if not every other day. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Thank you guys for watching.